The chair recognizes Representative Ellzey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Ranking Member. Madam Secretary, it's good to see you again.
Nice to see you too, Congressman.
We were on the same hallway up in Longworth on the 7th floor, and it's good to see you back in an even greater position. You know, I'm going to use a little sarcasm here. You've been on the job for 66 whole days. How do you not know everything already? I'm shocked and I'm saddened that you don't know everything
Appreciate it.
right now.
I'm grateful.
66 days. I mean, we interviewed the Secretary of the Navy yesterday. He'd been on the job for 50 days. I want to say, other than him, you might be the most traveled secretary because the president has sent you all across the country to actually do your job. How many days have you been traveling in the last 66?
Oh gosh, we've been on the road. We've visited 8 states, and I don't know the exact number of days, but I was just back from a 12-day.
Well, that's a lot of travel. You're not spending time in the office,
No.
decorating the office. You're out in the workforce doing your job. And I think that you need accolades for that instead of criticism for it. You were raised, was your dad a single father?
No. My parents were married and are still married. I think they celebrated 60 years. But my dad was a Teamster and worked hard day in and
that
day
was
out.
in Hanford, which was where I was stationed. So we have
that's
that in
right.
common. Hanford in the Central Valley of California, where there's a lot of agriculture, and he worked hard to raise you.
That's right.
And I think that our colleagues on the other side need to recognize that you're probably the most well-rounded Secretary of Labor that has been on both sides, has had a difficult upbringing, has had a life in which you had to work, and you are perfectly suited for this job. And I think that everybody should want to work hard with you on this venture of making life better for the American worker. The American workforce is facing a growing skills gap in infrastructure critical industries across the nation's economy. The return on investment for a four-year college, as we've discussed, has decreased to the point Americans have been discouraged by the prospect of having to go to school and have too many in loans. For too long, we've emphasized this as the sole path to the middle-class American dream, but I think we're getting away from that now. So community colleges and trade schools provide hands-on, specialized training directly relevant to the job market. So it's great to hear from your testimony that almost 83,000 new apprenticeships have been registered. I'm currently working on legislation called the Apprenticeship Infrastructure Tax Credit Act, say that 3 times fast, incentivizing more apprenticeships across the board with an additional focus on recent military and military spouses. The President's goal of creating 1 million new apprenticeship opportunities is noble. So how might a targeted apprenticeship tax credit for employers complement the Department's efforts to expand registered apprenticeships?
Well, certainly we want to remove all barriers, and I think that that's something that we hear across the board from, and so I look forward to hearing what, this type of legislation that you'll work with your colleagues on, because again, we want to grow the workforce. And oftentimes, at least in my past experience, certainly in Department of Education and Labor, oftentimes it was access because of funding. And we see that across the board, whether it's expanded Pell Grants or any of those types of things, anything that we can do to grow that workforce and not make people make a decision where they want to continue or have to stay where they are, but they have options. And so I look forward to offering, again, that technical assistance that you may need in order to work with your colleagues if Congress so chooses to do that bill. I think that would be something that could be definitely beneficial to the workforce as well.
Well, I think that's great because employers, not the federal government, but employers make the biggest investment in apprentices through the payment of wages and paid training. And what policies outside the current grant appropriations is DOL considering supporting?
Well, anything that we can do to assist the public-private partnerships, and how, again, as I meet with either business owners, employees, unions that come into the Department of Labor, the goal is to, how can we get to yes? I mean, for far too long, the government has, we don't want them to be an adversary, we want them to be an ally. How can we assist and how can we help? And at the direction of the President, it is to go out there and get to a yes in growing this workforce and protecting our American workers, and at the same time, fulfilling, again, the mission of the Department of Labor, which is protecting those wage earners, those job seekers, and those retirees as they move through their entire continuum of being in the workforce.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Madam Chair, I yield back.